Hi guys! I cannot really contain myself because I'm super excited to share this recipe with you. I've been kind of developing this recipe for a couple of months, so yes, it's been a long project, and I was thinking how I should make the recipe, how should I present it, and I had so many ideas, and now finally I have it all put together for you and I'm finally sharing it with you. So I'm sharing with you a base recipe for the best meatballs ever. I might even be so brave to say that because they are absolutely delicious. Also, I'm sharing them along with two different recipes, so two different ways to use them. And of course you can use them any other way as well, but I just wanted to give you a couple of ideas of how to serve the meatballs. So I am really hoping that you will try this recipe out because it's just so delicious. First we are going to make the base for the meatballs. So I like to use this French onion soup, a pack French onion soup. I just like the taste that it gives. And also I don't need to separately chop any onions. So I have the French onion soup there, and to it I'm gonna add my sour cream, which you can directly follow by adding the eggs. And then you just want to give it a good mix. And then we also want to season with some salt. And some black pepper. And add in about 2 tablespoons of mustard. And then again, you just want to give it a short mix. Now that it's all well combined, we want to leave it aside and prep the herbs. So then I have my greens. I have the dill, and then you could use either parsley or coriander, whichever you like. So I have 2 bunts here, they're quite big. And I'm gonna use about 1/3 from each. So just gonna grab about this much of the dill and the same with the parsley. Once you've washed them, you want to remove the very end bits, so these parts that are really hard, and then you just want to chop very finely, especially here where you have the stalks. You want to chop them real fine. And then we are doing the same with the parsley, so just chopping off the end bits and then chopping really finely again. And then you can grab back your wet ingredients and you will notice that they have become thicker. That's because of the soup. And now I'm gonna add in my herbs. So adding in the dill first, and then also the parsley. I know it's a lot of green, but it tastes really amazing. So just trust me and give it a go. And then I'm also adding in my mince. And you just want to mix everything well until it's nice and smooth. So work it with your hands so that all of the ingredients are combined and also that the mince gets softer. So the longer you mix it, you will notice that it gets really soft because of the wet ingredients and because you work it with your hands. And once it's really soft and smooth, you will feel it, you will feel the difference with your hands. while you mix it. Then it's ready and you can make the meatballs. Then you will need a big tablespoon. You want to take a tablespoonful of the mince and then just roll it in your hands into a meatball. And then once your meatballs are ready, you want to pop them in the oven, and as always, all the instructions can be found down below in the description box where you find the recipe. Once your meatballs are ready and out of the oven, mine have had a little bit of time to cool already, so they're cool to touch. What you could do is serve them right away, or you can store them in the fridge and rewarm them once you want to use them. Also, you could freeze these and then defrost and rewarm again, because the recipe makes quite a lot, so there are many ways to store these. For the sauce, I like to prepare everything before I start with it. So I'm gonna slice the onion first. And then it depends on how you like the onions, so I don't mind big pieces. And that's why I'm just gonna slice it. Then you also want to prep the garlic. And also just slice it finely. And then we need a little bit of the greens, so you can use parsley or you can use basil or any greens that you think would go good with the sauce. So you only need like 2 branches or so, and we only want to use the greens. So I've chopped off the stalks, and you don't want to chop this really finely, but just roughly so that you have just a little smaller pieces. Then you want to get started with the sauce. So I have my pan here on medium heat, and I'm just gonna drizzle some olive oil, and I'm also gonna add in my onions right away, so both the garlic and the onion. And then I'm just going to heat them over medium heat just a little bit so that they start to soften. Make sure you have your pan on medium heat so that you don't start burning your onions and garlic. So keep the heat medium or low and just soften them a little bit. And I'm also washing the can with some water, so about half a can of water, and I'm adding that also into my pan. Then I want to smash the tomatoes already at this point a little bit. Then you also want to season with salt, so I'm adding a teaspoon of salt and some freshly ground black pepper. And a teaspoon of dry oregano. Mix it in. And then we are going to allow it to simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes before we add in the meatballs, the cooked meatballs. They can also be cold, they will warm up then in the sauce. So it's been about 10 minutes now. My sauce is looking thicker, so now I can start adding my meatballs. You could add the hot meatballs if you want to make the sauce right after you've made the meatballs, or if you want you can also use them cold. So mine have been in the fridge. I'm adding them into my sauce, and I'm gonna mix the sauce in with the meatballs. So cover the meatballs with the sauce, cover everything with a lid. I'm gonna turn off the heat at this point and just allow them to stay so for about 10 minutes. This is the point where it's the best to get started with the pasta while your meatballs are warming up, so you have enough time to prep the pasta. Then you want to strain the water from your spaghetti or from the pasta that you're using and portion it into your plates. And then you want to spoon the sauce, the tomato sauce, over your pasta. And then add the meatballs. And of course it wouldn't be a pasta with meatballs without the parmesan, so add some cheese on top while it's still hot so that it melts. And then I like to keep this optional because I know not everybody likes greens on their food, but I like to add some green to garnish because it just looks really nice. So adding just a little. The prep work for this recipe is the same as for the red sauce. So you want to prep the onion and the garlic first. Also, in the meantime, you want to prep your mashed potatoes. So I have my potatoes boiling already so that they will be ready once my sauce is ready. And here we want to finely dice the onion. Then you want to do the same with the garlics, so just peel the garlics and also dice them finely. Then we also need about 2 branches of some parsley to garnish once the dish is ready. So I'm just gonna cut them a little bit. Once the pan is warm, you want to add in some olive oil. And then you can also add in the onions, so the onion and the garlic. At this point we want to keep the heat on medium and just soften the onions. Then once your onions have softened, like you can see mine have started to get some color already, you want to add a big tablespoon of mustard. So you want the bottom of your pan to be covered with a liquid, and then you can also turn the heat up to high just for a little, just to bring it to boil. And in the meantime we are also seasoning with salt. and with freshly ground black pepper. Give it a mix to mix it in. And then we are just going to wait until it starts to bubble before we add in the meatballs. So now you can see it's all starting to bubble, and that means it will start to thicken. And this is the moment when you want to add the meatballs, so whether they're cold or hot, add them in. I'm also gonna turn down my heat to low. I'm gonna mix the meatballs in with the sauce. I'm gonna cover everything and allow them to simmer like this for about 10 minutes so that they soak up the flavor of the sauce and warm up. Then once you have your meatballs warmed up, you can start portioning the mash onto your plate. Then we are going to get the meatballs and place them on top of the mash. Then we want to get back to our sauce and just bring it to bubble again. Grab a whisk and add in 1 tablespoon of flour. Whisk it in just to thicken up the sauce a little bit. And if the sauce goes too thick to your liking, what you can always do is to add just a tiny bit more milk and it will fix the sauce. Then once you're happy with the consistency, turn off the heat and portion the sauce over your mash and meatballs. And then we are just adding some sauce over the meatballs. And last but not least, you want to decorate with the green. I know for many of you this is going to be kind of a strange way to make meatballs because, well, first of all, they're baked, which might not be the, well, traditional way to make meatballs in many countries, but that's how we make them in Finland, and it's a more healthier way. It's a less fuss kind of way because you just pop them in the oven and don't worry about them until they're ready. So I really prefer this way, and whenever I'm making meatballs, this is how I make them. Also, you might be thinking, French onion soup, sour cream, kind of weird. But it's also something that we do in Finland, and it really gives a lovely taste to the meatballs. So you should definitely give it a go. And all the herbs, that's something that I just recently kind of discovered. My boyfriend's grandmother, she makes, well, not meatballs, but cutlets. This way she always adds some fresh greens to them. And when I tried some when she made some, I thought, wow, it really adds a really amazing flavor to the cutlets. And then I thought, why not combine the really good recipe for the meatballs with this and add some of those greens into the meatballs, and they are so delicious. Really, you have to believe me, because they really are. And once you try this recipe once, I'm sure you will fall in love and you will be making it over and over again. So this recipe has the 2 ways of serving the meatballs, and I wanted to give those 2 ways because I really like red sauce, so I really like tomato sauce with spaghetti, but my boyfriend is not a big fan. So I think maybe there are more people like him who don't like the tomato sauce. So I wanted to give a second option for those, and that's why I wanted to share the white or the mustard sauce with the mash, which is also a delicious option. And so you have a little bit of options there how to serve them, but of course you can serve them any other way as well. But what I would like to know is, which would you choose? The red sauce or the white sauce with mustard? Because I'm really interested to know which would win the battle. So let me know in the comments below and we'll see which one is the winner. In this video I used some cute crockery from 58 Products, and if you want to have a look, I have everything linked for you down below in the description box. If you enjoyed this recipe and if you love meatballs, then don't forget to leave me a thumbs up so I also know. And if you're new to my channel, then you can subscribe right now, and if you tap the bell, you won't miss any of the new recipes. Thank you for watching my video. Bye bye until next time.